As if we didn't have enough going on in the astrological weather with all the changes. Eclipse season is here. We have an eclipse in Leo that we're coming across on the 12th. And hi, welcome. I'm Heather Botkin. If you don't know me, first time here, welcome. Nice to meet you. Um, we My friend Miriam and we run this channel, Woke.Ones.Revolution. We're happy to have you. We all go through our own awakening and transitions and evolving, and you are right where you need to be. So, thanks for joining us. It's just me today. Earlier this afternoon, Miriam and I did do a live stream episode. So be sure to check that out. We definitely talked about the eclipse a bit in that as well. But yeah, thanks for stopping back by, and I let me know how you guys are all faring during this eclipse season. Leave me a comment. Tell me what's going on. I love to see what's happening in your lives. I guess we'll see. The unfoldment of eclipses. It varies for everybody a little differently depending on where it's hitting you in your chart. And we don't always see something big and major happen like right away. Sometimes it can take some time to unfold. So we've got this eclipse coming up at 20 degrees Leo on August the 12th. And we're going to have another eclipse later on this month, at the very end of the month, in Pisces. So that's going to be a lunar eclipse that we're going to be touching base on. I will have to record another video for that because today we're solely going to focus on the upcoming eclipse and what that's likely to bring. We will hit through and hit all signs. So bear with me because that won't be till the end. If you are so kind and feel like time stamping signs for me, that would be wonderful because there's been a lot of recording today. So that always puts a little ease when you guys jump in and are willing to do that for me. So thanks in advance. But yeah, so it's going to be around 12:35 Central Standard Time on August the 12th. Is when we're gonna be having this Leo eclipse. It's gonna be a total solar eclipse, and it's considered like a south node eclipse. We'll go further into that, but when I was talking about all these shifts that we've been going through, we had all of the outer planets, the slow movers, have all changed their respective signs. We had the Saturn Pluto conjunction earlier this year. We had Uranus move into, Saturn Uranus, no, I'm sorry, Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. And then we had Uranus move into Gemini. Jupiter has made its trek through Cancer and has moved into Leo. Chiron finally moved out of Aries, thank goodness, and jumped into Taurus. Now it's retrograde and it will be dipping back. I think probably it's going to be dipping back retrograde and doing its thing. But all the personal planets have been changing signs too. So we've got Venus that just moved into her home sign of Libra. And my goodness, Mercury just moved into Leo today. We've got Mercury at 0 degrees, and Mars trekking into Cancer. So we will bring up the chart, and there's a few other little kind of mundane things that I want to talk about, just because I noticed a couple of things on some people's charts, and I kind of wanted to show it. So. Anyways, this one is a pretty big eclipse, and everybody always says that, but I mean, it really is. It does have a lot of benefic points. We've got a couple of kites that are going to be happening during this eclipse, but there's also some things that are worth keeping in mind as we're going through these changes. So, like if we think back to throughout history, right? Eclipses, they're like moons on steroids, right? You think about a full moon or a new moon or lunar eclipse, like it's usually pretty Pretty big stuff. Oh, I got a sneeze coming. Phew. Oh, goodness. Excuse me. Oh, I will pause and be right back. My goodness. And bless me. Sorry, that just came out of nowhere. Gotta love it. All right. So let's see. Where was I? Shit, I don't know. But I think I'll pick up where I was. Basically, I was talking about, oh, history. Yeah. Eclipses, like in history, you got to think back. Like, imagine, not being in present day and before all this crazy technology that we've come out with, like if it's the middle of the day and all of a sudden, the sun's beaming bright and all of a sudden it gets blacked out by the moon moving in front of it. Well, back in the day, people didn't really know what that was. They all saw it as some kind of crazy omen or like somebody was going to pass away. Now that is kind of a notorious thing for solar figures. You figure solar eclipses typically apply immediately to rulers of countries, leadership, father figures, are considered part of solar eclipses. So people who are famous, who are, even famous actors and actresses. You think of the Regal, the lion, the performer. Uh, and what they would notice back in the day is that, sometimes people would fall from grace. Sometimes people would pass away that were big figures. And so it only acerbated that need, well, that response of fear and things like that. No, don't fear the eclipse. We're not here to fearmonger. I'm here basically just to kind of help you prepare. It's better to be prepared for this upcoming any transits. It's better to be prepared and kind of know your chart. And hopefully, if you've been with myself or Miriam for any bit of time, you know exactly where this is happening. You know exactly where Leo is at in your chart, or where you have 20 degrees Leo, 20 degrees Aquarius. I mean, you can give it, uh, I like to keep the tighter orb of about 5 degrees either side. Some will say 10, but um, so, it's not something to be so scared of nowadays. However, it depends on each and every person's chart. Eclipses can be really big deals, like back in the day, you figure like if that moon covered up that sun and it's all of a sudden dark in the middle of the day, and the birds start acting weird and all going back to their nests, and all the nocturnal animals start waking up. There's is a little bit of unexpected events that end up arising during eclipses. Now, um as far as personal stories, I'd really have to go back and kind of look to see about the eclipses that have happened like on my sun, but I'm actually getting a direct hit with this one. So my north node is in the fifth house, Leo, at 20 degrees. And my Mercury is pretty close. I got a Mercury Leo at 28. So it's pretty close to the nodes. We had a big shift, and I will say that you know, eclipses have been kind of crazy for me, like these past few years. So I had a direct hit August 8th of 2024. That's the the big total solar eclipse that helped make that final X over Texas. And it was on my rising sign. I'm a 19 degrees Aries rising. And that eclipse was at 19, it was a new moon, solar eclipse, conjunct Chiron at 19 Aries. And since then, my entire life has changed. You got to realize that, my four corners that all got squares are cardinal energies. Like I have Capricorn MC, Cancer IC, Pluto DC. Oh, well, I say Pluto, but I meant Libra. Libra on my DC. And so like every area of my life, my physical health, my body, my fourth house, I had to move 3 times. And I'm somebody who's always stayed very kind of fixed at home, had lived at the same residence for 13, 14 years. I don't move around a lot. So I had to change. I ended up homeless for the first time in my life at, at age, what, 44. Um, that's kind of like all got resolved. Relationships, total change in relationships, got tossed into kind of into my relationship with Miriam. We became close friends and kind of moved forward with the business. I had a 14-year relationship suddenly end. And job and career wise, I have gone through the launching of Woke.Ones.Revolution since then, which I think it happened like right before that eclipse. But in and out of back and working in corporate life and, just the waves and going through, but definitely how I'm seen in the world and how, it matters of my legacy, all of that, all four corners were hit. So when I say, if you are taking a direct hit, you or somebody you love is taking a direct hit by this eclipse, then, have some grace. Understand that things are going to be changing for you. They say that with solar eclipses for like every minute, it equates like a year, roughly. Okay. To how long the impact will play out. Okay. So that one that hit my ascendant back in 2024, I want to say that was like a 5 minute eclipse. So it's like 5 years of transitioning, right? And so this one is only going to be like 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So I'm assuming that this one, like immediacy, you'll notice big change within the next 6 months, you know. But it is going to spread out longer. It's not something that is just like evident from the start. But if you're living it and you're getting hit by it and you just keep having change happen to you over and over again, just expect, you got to play it cool, honey bunny, and ride it out because, universe has something really big for you. And in being in Leo, it talks about stepping into your role as an authority. It could be as an authority figure, as a leader, as a creator, just stepping into the most authentic form, the most authentic you. Let's put it that way. Let's see. So, and I kind of want to double back a little bit. And I know I jumped out of order, but you have to excuse me. That's just me, Aries rising Heather. I'm always all over the place. I've had plenty of head injuries, so I'll scroll in a second. I know what I'm talking about, but I'll scroll in a second. But, like I did want to talk about the shifting of the nodes, right? Because it's so important on eclipses, right? And I'll just stick with Leo because I've already been there, right? So we're coming out of South Node being in Virgo, and the nodes always are always retrograde, right? So the South Node is moved into Leo, so it's sitting at 29 Leo, and that makes the North Node just on the opposite side of the chart be at 29 Aquarius. All right. Dynamic has totally changed out of Pisces North Node and Virgo South Node. I'm not going to talk about it in nauseum, but we're going from themes that talk about, healing, service to others, sacrifice, using discernment, like those themes of, oh, I don't know how to say it. Like I say, service and sacrifice. Like there was a lot of downtime. It's either you're really busy or and then, incredibly down and in kind of in a meditative state trying to bring yourself back. That's how I feel like it was for me anyways. But it's, Pisces is a little foggy. Virgo is very forward focused. Those are just a couple of the themes that we've kind of rolled out of, stop, not being hypercritical, like letting go of those South Node themes and really trying to reach for those North Node themes to help us ascend, right? Well, this is kind of a weird place because the South Node has moved into Leo, which is ruled by the sun, right? And the sun is ever changing, right? It's ever evolving as it moves through each sign and it transits each one of your houses. It lights up different things. So I find that it's really neat that the south node is moving into Leo. Now it's going to move those themes to Leo Aquarius themes from the Pisces Virgo theme. So we're going to be moving into um themes with Leo talking about authenticity, creativity, leadership. Leo is also the sun, which is also ego, right? Leo is the performer. Aquarius is the audience. Aquarius is the collective. Aquarius is technology. Aquarius is I mean, it's definitely has to do with your community, groupthink, your hopes, wishes, and dreams. I say that because Aquarius, is the water bearer, the star card in the tarot. But that's kind of like 11th house theme. But it also brings to light, like, if you think back to the South Node Virgo, we were supposed to be releasing the need to be over perfectionist, hypercritical, you know, work workaholics, let's to release and give it up to the North Node that was in Pisces, which spoke a little bit more about going with the flow, letting things be imperfect, spirituality, not letting yourself get so stressed out, not but yeah, that south node Virgo was a lot of burnout for me, and I'm excited for it to move into this Leo Aquarius node and nodal shift. And with Leo being the performer and being on stage, you got to think, who is Leo without Aquarius? If there's no audience, Aquarius, where does that leave Leo? And if the South Node's going through Leo, and the South Node is where we're supposed to release things, then do we just release the performance altogether? I don't think so. I think that it's more about, are the performances that we're giving. Is the Leo is the heart, right? I'm seeing the Cowardly Lion and the Wizard of Oz. It's so cute. But it's like authentically performing or creating from the heart, and to put it out and to see what you could give to the collective for, to basically contribute something meaningful to the world, right? It has to go from that the ego sense to the more collective sense, seeing the bigger picture and acting from that and letting go of the need to perform. Leo also, I'll say this as a Leo North Node myself. Yes, I'm about to have my nodal opposition. That being on cam, doing these YouTube videos, public speaking, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I've had to do it throughout my life, but it's not comfortable, right? It is not comfortable at all. I do not like to have to be on cam. I don't like to have to be put on the spot, for others to critique me and, throw tomatoes at me if they want to, but anyway, so that's a big shift, the way that we're moving. And we've already had, so earlier this year, I think it was in February, we had a Aquarius eclipse. And so we're new into this, into this particular shift now that the nodes have finally moved. I mean, the nodes weren't there when we had the prior eclipse, but not quite there anyways. But anyways, so I don't know. I would expect that the ramifications of this one being like 2 minutes and change is probably going to last a good 6 months to a year and a half. I know it says 2 years, if you go a year a minute, but I would say like for most of us here, in North America anyways, it's not going to reach totality, over here. The the eclipse where it's happening is going to be, let's see, across Greenland, Iceland, northern Spain, and for the first time in like 25 years, it'll be visible from parts of Europe. So parts of North America, I think, may be able to see it like way, way, way north, but it's only going to be partial. And so these stories are already here, right? And I would say, what's been building up over this past month or so since we have had the node shift. Um, what themes have you noticed? Because that's most likely going to be part of what this is. So, it's going to be a point where people decide to make some pretty big decisions. And you know, uh, endings. I have to say that. You may see people falling off, dropping from positions of power, which means, and I'm getting shown the Leo side, having younger energy come in and replace some of the outdated or people that leave their roles that have been there maybe way too long. And if you're talking about a work environment or a leadership environment, having a set of fresh new eyes coming in. Um, so, yeah, also, I will talk about a couple of charts in just a quick second to segue that. But yeah, so you may, and these, are going to basically, if you're having a direct hit by these eclipse, if you got anything at 20 Leo, uh, 20 Aquarius, and or 20 of the other fixed signs, those are going to be taken squares, or it's going to be like the square of the opposition. So you may notice that you end up having like just random unexpected event, but it's all leading you somewhere very positive. The the new moon solar eclipse is where we plant seeds and where we start something fresh and new. And with this eclipse, um, distinction does matter because it's south node, right? And it's not, south node eclipses don't typically just, come add more goodies to our life necessarily right away. Without any, you can't have anything good and new come into your life unless you release some of the old things, right? So that's one way to look at the south node going through there. And I can't, you got to remember also the benefic planet Jupiter is in Leo as well. And Jupiter is known for making things bigger. Well, bigger hearts, right? Leo, bigger creative endeavors, bigger hopes, wishes, dreams that you want, and these seeds that we plant. You have to be very wise that you aren't just doing more of the same. That's kind of one of the big pieces of advice that I can give about this particular eclipse. But yeah, it's like with the South Node, we have to remove all the stagnant stuff, so that we can, once the stuff gets out, stagnant stuff, whether it's people, whether it's a job, whether it's a, lifestyle, you know, we have to kind of, you got to figure fifth house stuff. So, what is it? Fifth house is fun. What is it that you have noticed you're not just having as much fun as you used to, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's always brought you joy, and then all of a sudden it's not bringing you any joy, that's that thing that you probably need to let go or evolve, right? So, when we get that stuff and we expose what's kind of like cleared its, outlived its life or ran its course, it's okay to loosen that grip and let go of those attachments. That way, your ambitions can help be shifted towards something that's more aligned with who you have become and who you are today. So, Leo is what else? Leo is also our kids. And you'll notice this when I go through all signs, that is going to come up. But your kids, what brought you childhood joy? What's something new that you can take over? Like today, I think at our podcast episode, we were talking about, Leo energy and Leo over the fifth and what kind of fun exercises or whatever, can be done. But I was thinking, like, if you've been really good and really great at something and you've got like all these trophies, like all these bowling trophies or sports awards or whatever, and you're just finding that it's more, it's just competition. There's not like, you're not finding any happiness anymore. It's time to let that shit go and start trying new things. I think I said swap bowling for skee ball, try something different, fun. And the more you can connect with community while you're doing it, whether it be, your workplace community, your online community, your a group of friends or trusted colleagues or even your family, get around and, join in on events where you can find some new stuff to bring you joy and give you new things to talk about. So, the North Node's like obviously, North Node is where we're heading to or what we're supposed to aspire to. And it isn't necessarily comfortable at all. It's really uncomfortable for the most part. And we like to lean on our South Node because it's what we're used to. It's what feels good. It's what we've always known to be our safe spot, right? It's where our gifts are. It's where we can shine our lights and, be seen and blah, blah, blah. Well, with this, the opposition, Aquarius, is ruled by Uranus, which is in Gemini, right? So it's also modern ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. So if you feel like going that route, go ahead. But to me, I have an Aquarius moon in the 11th or in the final degree of the 10th. My South Node's in the 11th. And I can tell you that with the Aquarius moons, yes, you definitely, the authenticity thing really, really matters. It really does. I mean, you're talking about um, your groups and all that, but if Uranus, the ruler's in the third as well, like that's a Gemini vibe. So that talks about local areas, your local community, your siblings. So these groups can expand out kind of everywhere. With South Node, I just got shown like with South Node Leo, it could also be like so somebody going to their high school reunion, like 20-year high school reunion or something, and getting like reconnecting with old childhood friends. That'd be kind of like South Node. Doesn't mean that it's bad and that you got to immediately dump all fun. You don't have to dump everything that brings you joy. Keep that stuff, but you want to add to it and you want to do it from a flavor of not what's all about me, 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 me. It's not about you, 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 you. It's about, the group that you belong within and the people that accept how you shine your light today versus, the old version of you. Maybe, if you're having upcoming, reunion or just had one or had some recent people that you grew up going to school with friend you on Facebook or something, kind of maybe see where that goes because the South Node eclipse, it very much reminds me of the South Node going through Leo, very much reminds me of the whole Mercury retrograde thing where they were like, you might have somebody from your past come back. Well, um, the South Node moving through that Leo part of the chart and that eclipse coming up, especially with Venus being up in Libra, it reminds me of like the sun, like how you shine. It's a lot of relationship type stuff that we're dealing with. I mean, we during this eclipse, we also got like Venus square Mars, so that's still in play as far as competitiveness and ugh, those grievances and the need to compete. But yeah, we've got a lot of relationships. There will be a lot of relationships ending. There's going to be new ones coming in. And what I'm saying is these new ones could be old ones. Okay. So like South Node moving through the area of your heart, right? Could be like a childhood girlfriend or boyfriend that you had coming back into your life. And you guys have all both lived your own life experiences. And now you're, almost like new people meeting again, right? Um, it could be if you've broken up with somebody years ago or months ago or whatever, but they've done like a lot of growing. You guys have each grown your own ways and done the work that you needed to do and really reflected and feel like giving it another go. This would be the time to shake it up a little bit. Take it shaken, not stirred. Get going and see what all universe has lined up for you. Definitely not going to find it sitting at home on the couch. Um, the Aquarian side of it with the North Node talks a little bit, and I'm really immediately got thrown into social grace. All right. Social grace. Let's go there. Right. So, um, being aware of your audience, being aware of your potential audience. Pluto being an Aquarius, where the North Node's at, talks about the importance of social grace. And, here in the astrology community, we recently had somebody that was considered one of, like the father, one of the godfathers of evolutionary astrology, decided to um, inappropriately say something, and although it was an adult conversation, it was broadcast to the world. Well, there's ramifications for saying, racial slurs and things like that. And although the person, I'm assuming, had no intentions of hurting anybody, it did. And how we how we shine our light and our authenticity and our genuine concern for how our actions impact the collective, impact our group and those around us matters. And so discernment, and especially with Mercury moving into Leo, my goodness, you got to be careful with the way that you say things because ultimately it could be taken the wrong way. It could be taken for exactly for what it is. And depending on, where you're coming from, when you're saying that kind of stuff, it can come back and bite you in the ass regardless. South Node and Leo, that individuals don't have much of a place when we got the North Node in Aquarius because Aquarius rules the groups. It rules the tribes, the communities, the I know I said this earlier today, but it's kind of like the group think, right? And if we take things North Node, you want to do the higher level of it, but just know that it could be a high level or a low vibe. But one of the things that can come out of this transit in general would be that I just saw like the lottery, right? So that book, The Lottery, where the townspeople, just kind of go through, and you don't know who's gonna get their straw drawn, to be the next to be stoned with rocks, right? Like it's kind of Uranian. It's a luck of a draw. You don't know how the audience is going to take it. All you can do is stand in your integrity and your authentic self, and lead. Let your actions lead and speak from the heart. That would be the best way, I would think, to kind of better understand these dynamics that are going on. Leo is creativity, Aquarius is technology. We're going to be seeing some incredible inventions going on over these next 18 months that the nodes are transiting Leo and Aquarius. So excited about all of that. But eclipses, like, they have a way of fast tracking, like, timelines. So if you've been feeling like something's been coming on, or your higher self is telling you that something's not right in a relationship. This is about, like, when I say in a relationship, whether it be a coworker, a business deal, or whatever, if something is eating at you and irking and saying something isn't right, it's like unconscious. There's this unconscious, uncomfortable feeling. I'm seeing an inconjunct or a quincunx on a natal chart, right? Like, some just doesn't quite feel right. That's something that's been building under the surface, and eclipses tend to have an immediate way of grabbing that and pushing it forefront to your face, for to be addressed. So, we talked earlier about creative expression. Leo is children. It's sexy time, it's romance, it's love, it's confidence, it's being generous, and being visible, right? Allowing yourself to be seen, and that can be very healthy if you keep it on the higher level. But when the south node rolls through, you start to notice more people project outwardly to you, those lower expressions. It's the ideal if we could all train ourselves to get that. Always look at the positives. Always try to look at the positive things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting so many different things thrown at me right now, but I kind of want to move forward. So, um, you know, if you're trying to figure out where this is at for you, I will go into the all signs in just a bit, but this would be a time period, because for me, it's in my fifth house. So I'm like thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm about to have my nodal opposition. I've got my Mercury there. My sun is in the fifth house, even though it's 1 degree Virgo. I'm having the nodal shift, and I'm like, well, I don't really can't really think of anything that I haven't already purged. So, I try not to do a whole lot of stuff out of ego. I try to think, try to keep things, other people in mind all the time. So I'm thinking, what is this? Well, for me, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I have, some young and mid 20-year-old kids. That Jupiter's there in Leo in my fifth house. Does that mean, that my children may be having some big changes? That's darn right. That could be something that's happening. Um, if you've if you've if you've got Aries rising, or 20 degree 20 degree of any kind of planet, or I want to say house cusp as well. But yeah, children come into play there. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, all right. Well, does that mean I need to throw out a bunch of the stuff that I really like because you're going to bring me a grandbaby I really love? I don't know. We'll see. And I know they're both saying, shut up, mom, don't put us there yet. And I'm cool with that. I definitely am. Um, so let me see here. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk more about uh, where we could find some things getting changed, because the south node also, like Pluto on the opposite end, right, Pluto reveals. Well, these eclipses tend to do reveals, and the South Node tends to reveal things that um, may have otherwise been sitting in the back burners to where we didn't really see them, right? So, like, if Leo has to do with political leaders, royalty, um, just figure famous people, right? Influencers, anybody who has a big face, a big role within the world, or is very, very popular. Um, there may be some things that get exposed for those people. I kind of touched on it a little bit ago when we talked about um, saying inappropriate racial slurs, like it all when you're one-on-one with your friend and you're recording it live for the whole world to see, you're not really just one-on-one with that friend, right? There, I mean, granted, but at the same token, that these falls from grace that we may be seeing, I'm seeing leadership, of course, but I'm also seeing some recent influencers that have passed away. And dang, you definitely got to act out of integrity. You really do, because that mob mentality of Aquarius, and you guys can look at my name. It says Woke.Ones.Revolution, right? It doesn't have to be with. It's not in relation to me being the overkill woke, right? I'm talking about being spiritually woke, being spiritually sound with the knowledge that we're all here living our own Aquarius. We're all one. This is, like we are all one being, and we're all one going through our own revolution of we've been spiritually woken up. We can go overkill. Here's the best way I can put it. We all go through our revolutionary changes in life, evolutionary, revolutionary, and we are in revolutionary times. You want to talk about Pluto Sag, the difference between Pluto Libra, Pluto Sag, Pluto Scorpio, Pluto Capricorn, talk about the changings in generations. And then you got to go into the point where we're talking about all these movements and Aquarian things, themes that we're dealing with. Pluto in Aquarius is going to unlock, and the North Node going with it is going to start to actually address, not just calling out the e-files, or whatever, where all these bad groups were, the bad actors in it, and revealing them. It's actually the changes that we implement. So when I say Woke.Ones.Revolution, each and every single one of us that are woke or going through a spiritual awakening will have our we'll have our mindsets change about different things, and about a whole lot of things, and things that we used to believe in, maybe we won't believe in anymore, and things that we used to know as truth are no longer truth. And maybe even things like, if we go into the cancel culture thought process of it all, and how that became a really big thing. And I specifically just got thrown back to Roseanne, right? Like, and that was, I don't even know what year was that, 2018, 2019, 2020. I don't even remember what year that was, but she essentially said some stuff, and she's a comedian, right? But a lot of people didn't find it too funny. And it was at a period where anytime you say something wrong and you're in a level of leadership, that immediately you get axed, right? Cancel culture. And so we're going to see those themes continue to come back, but they've got to evolve, right? And what I'm getting at with that is that, yes, there were plenty of things that needed to be called out. There were people that, were racist, sexist, abusive, total frauds, all these different things that were holding, all these people that were holding positions of power that were being seen and revealed, and like a lot of them were definitely necessary. Pluto reveals what's necessary. If you go into like the Harvey Weinstein and all of the Bill Cosby and all, they, yeah, 100%, they needed to be exposed and held to justice, right? And but at the same time, I'm getting thrown back to the days of the guillotine, right? uh Standing out on the plank. What is there any, we have to be careful as we spiritually evolve not to stay stuck in that group mind think that is just after blood, right? The bloodthirsty kind of, lot that seeing like the people with the pitchforks, like that are all, standing outside the person's house that they think is a witch. And there's not been any proof, there's not been anything, but we're just going to go ahead and take you out. We don't care what kind of person you really are. We've already decided your fate. So you have to be careful not to get to that level. I would say that if you are finding yourself getting so worked up about this cause, that cause, because Aquarians are about cause. I know this. And even my causes and my belief systems and how I look at things have changed to where maybe somebody, it's kind of like giving somebody a new lease on life. You figure somebody, let's say somebody made a mistake when they were a teenager and they got thrown into prison for their whole life. And then they get out, you know, 40, 50 years later, they've served their time. They were actually innocent of what they did, or just really naive and really screwed up when they were young. Do you not think from that age of maturity up to their current age when they're getting out that they don't deserve a pair of fresh eyes? That they don't deserve a second chance, that they don't deserve that. So that's part of the naming of Woke.Ones.Revolution. Just so you know, it has to do with the changes that we go through, each and every single one of us, and how we are evolving as a species, right? As a collective. So I'm very Aquarian, but I'm also very damn Leo. We have to be able to look at things from the Aquarian view, pull away. Leo is heart. Leo is very passionate. It's a fire sign. Aquarius is cold and it's air. It's dry, right? But it's also electric, you know. If you put those two elements together, you can create some hot damn sparks. Just be discerning on who you're throwing the sparks at and the real big why behind it. All right. That's what I got right there for that part. I was kind of looking at the at who would be getting impacted, right? And not that I'm just going to take a sidebar for a minute because I was getting really lectury, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to get lectury, but sometimes I do. Where's my charts? Is this the screen? Is this the screen? Well, here's the chart of the eclipse. I'll show this. Yeah. We'll take a look at the chart of the eclipse. So August the 12th. And like I said, it's going to be early afternoon, Central Standard Time, like 1:35 Eastern Time. But I love looking at this because we still have this little double kite going on. So we have a kite pointing at Pluto, going down to Venus in Libra at 5 degrees. The Pluto up at 3 degrees Aquarius retrograde, trining down to Uranus and Gemini at 5 degrees. So we've got this beautiful trine right here in the air signs. Okay. Then we've got Venus sextiling to close off the kite here. We got Venus sextiling down to Jupiter, and Jupiter sextile to Uranus. This minor triangle's been there for quite a while. And then we've got another kite right here with Pluto down to Uranus, Uranus sextile Neptune, Neptune sextile back to Pluto, and the opposition going from Neptune up to Venus. Oh, and this opposition over here obviously is Pluto Jupiter. I guess I did say that. So, I mean, right in there, the Pluto Jupiter dynamic is kind of what I was just talking about in relation to beliefs, group beliefs. Um, Jupiter and Leo can also be pretty it's pretty royal. It's pretty royal. It's people who hold positions of power. It's people that hold like that's even like legal power, Jupiter, but opposite Pluto, and then this Neptune opposite Venus. Real quickly on the Neptune opposite Venus, in the middle of that kite, between those heavy hitting outsiders, we've got Neptune, which talks in Aries at 4 degrees, which talks about the dream, the vision, the unconditional love, devotion, opposing Venus in Libra, and she's at home there. And Venus has been going through a hell of a story, y'all. She's moving faster than everybody else. She's ahead of where this eclipse is going to be happening. And it's interesting, just minutes away from the vertex. But the Neptune opposite Venus in this kite is kind of it's steering and pointing to what is it what is it that you desire, what is it that you're attracted to that brings you joy and happiness at a, I want to say, at a soul level, like genuine, unconditional, from a spiritual standpoint, what brings you joy? What do you need to, how do I say this? Obviously, we've got a balance there, right? So there has to be between Venus and Neptune, that can be very rose-colored glasses, right? It really can be. If you have this in your natal chart, you probably have been very trusting to many a different people who in turn took advantage of you or let you down or didn't end up being what they were supposed to be. That's the dream right there. But when I'm seeing this opposition, I'm seeing the balancing of the scales, right? You have to be able to balance dreams with reality. Is this something that I can really do? Is this, something that I can really do? And all these outer planets say, yes, you can. It's kind of the way that I look at it. But yeah, let me stop sharing screen for a second because there was a different chart that I wanted to show you guys. Uh, let's see. I got, I'm that girl with a million browser windows. Yes, I am that girl. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so I was in the wrong spot altogether. Okay, I see. Here I am. So I was like, what, we got to look at a couple of big names real quick and see who is being directly hit by this eclipse. And then I did it again. I'm not even in the right chart. All right, dang it. I'll get my life together one of these seconds, y'all. I'm going to close out that browser. There we go. Okay. Oh, Oh shit. There we go. Hey, hey, I figured it out. All right. So here's who I pulled up. All right. Decided to pull up Don. Mr. Trump decided to pull him up. Reason being is because I know that he is a 29-degree Leo rising. And I was like, okay, I just kind of want to see, right, what area this is going to be hitting him in, right? So 12th house is kind of, reclusive. It can rule hospitals. It's just everything that's kind of hidden, right? Um, but that's where the South Node is right now. So the South Node transiting his ascendant and going up into his 12th house can definitely speak to hidden enemies. It can speak to hidden health issues. And with his Mars being right there, I would say that his health could definitely be impacted by the South Node transit to his ascendant and to his Mars, and then eventually to his Pluto, right? Another one I was looking at was Joe Biden, and I pulled his. I was just kind of looking, and before I knew it, I was like, okay, well, where's Leo at for him? Leo is the eclipse is going to be in his ninth house, technically. He's a Scorpio rising, but the South Node is right there on his Chiron and his North Node. So whether you like them or don't, I don't know. I personally, I don't. I think that people are good people, and then you start to add in their beliefs and some of their actions that they take, and it makes them not appear to be such the best people in the world. But personally, there's several admirable traits that I do really like about Joe Biden, and a lot of it has to do um, with his personality and with how he has gone through some very hard times in his life and pulled through. And he's just kind of like, Uncle Joe, weird Uncle Joe. But like, I hate this for him. I really do, because having your nodal opposition on your Chiron at the time where we're having a new moon eclipse, that definitely speaks to his health matters. And ninth house does have to do with belief systems, but I've also in the umpteenth amount of charts that I've seen, the ninth house is higher, right? It's the heavens, right? I could talk about ascending, right? So health definitely, in both of those charts that I just showed you, could indicate could definitely indicate some big health matters and or partings. And I don't wish that on anybody, but I will say, and since I'm sharing screen, let me show you this other stuff. Like, I was looking here on I guess this is NASA's website. Let me zoom forward. But it shows here the eclipse, uh, the shadow of the eclipse and where it's hitting. You see it going over like Greenland. It's pretty cool. And like the top part of the United States can see some of the shadow of it. Pretty cool site. May want to check it out. Here's the eclipse map and where everything's going to be visible. It said Greenland, Iceland, and Spain, shows where the total eclipse can be seen. I don't really have to tell you much about Greenland and what Trump was talking about wanting to take over Greenland, right? And then we talk about like Spain is going through a lot of people trying to cross the border and gain citizenship or asylum over there from where they're coming from. But yeah, those are areas that are going to be being touched by this eclipse. And let's see, it does say a remote region in northern Russia will get totality. So I'm hearing a lot of buzz going on around Russia and Ukraine, and seeing some changes happen there. But Spain and Portugal are definitely going to be having some times too. And I'm curious about the whole Greenland thing on where that's going to go because of the resources and such. And I was looking back to the prior cycles for this. Okay, so we had and this is the current Leo solar eclipse that we're going to be having on the 12th. And I was looking further back. So this is one that we had in Leo. It's a different Saros cycle though. But it was a north node eclipse rather than a south node eclipse, but it was at 18 Leo and 34 minutes. And personally, I can tell you that was close enough to my north node. I 2018, this is a really, really hard time for me. Really hard time. I had just lost a couple of family members, one of them being like a second mom to me, who took me in after my mom passed away. My aunt had just passed away. I was in a long-term relationship that suddenly ended, and right before this happened, I'd gone through like a relationship legal type stuff, and had to do with custody of my kids and all of this horrible, crazy stuff. Just boom, 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 boom came happening in my life, and boom, spiritual awakening. So this is the period where Heather had her spiritual awakening, and I've always had my gifts. I shut them off a couple times because it was too much as I was raising young babies. But astrology, and my guides started showing me tarot cards, symbols, signs, astrology charts, and all the archetypes. I really got into the in-depth psychology of Carl Jung, and I started like a lot of philosophy, getting into a lot of philosophy and just deep esoteric knowledge. But yeah, that was a pretty monumental period for me personally. So think back to where, what was going on with you um, in August of 2018 or in August of 2008, August 1st, 2008. There was a solar eclipse that occurred at 9 degrees 36 minutes Leo. So within a little bit of an orb, right? Um, what changed in your life then? Those are going to be some of the kind of similar themes that you may be coming across. And yeah, so that's that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we will see what else we have, if there was anything else I needed to touch on. So just know that if nothing immediate happens in your life, it may take a while for things to unfold, or you may not even have anything close to any of these placements in your chart. It could be either a good thing or a bad thing. But if there's one thing that eclipse brings, it's to say, if you're so comfortable being stuck where you're at right now, I don't care how much joy it gives you, it's not helping you grow. So, where do you need to grow? What part of your Leo in your chart do you need to grow? So it's going to be like an 18-month thing as we continue to watch these nodes shift around. All right. So if we let's go ahead and look at the Sabian symbol, right? So the get to that here. Oh. Oh, and if I went even further back, I was going to say we said August 2018, but there was August of 1999, there was August of 1980, and August of 1961. We're all tied directly to that Sarah cycle, the 126 cycle. So, although the things never repeat exactly, some of the themes, may be similar. And if it's not you that's going through it, it could be somebody that's immediately close to you that's having their chart impacted. So be ready to help that person have some fun. Um, so yeah, Sabian symbol for 21 Leo. I have to laugh because it's my North Node, right? Intoxicated, intoxicated chickens dizzily flap their wings trying to fly. Dane Rujar describes this as an image representing the dangers of premature expansion of consciousness. No comment, but yes, I did. I did dally in my teenage years. The symbolisms resembles surprisingly relevant to the times that we live in. Information's never been more accessible, right? And wisdom, though, it's only something that we can acquire based off of experience, right? So, um, let's see. Spiritual teachings, technological breakthroughs, artificial intelligence, definitely Aquarian, right? Alternative healing practices, financial speculation. That's Leo. That is Leo, and countless other movements promise rapid transformation, but not every breakthrough arrives with the maturity required to integrate it responsibly. Excitement alone does not create wisdom. Inspiration alone does not replace discernment. This symbol reminds us that genuine growth requires grounding, patience, and lived experience rather than becoming intoxicated by every exciting possibility that appears before us. I love how he talks about that. Uh, because you can. I mean, just think of how pumped up you used to get, like back in your teenage years. Like how pumped up you'd get. You learned something new and you want to tell everybody, and then you realize that it didn't really have any ground. So you got to be careful and practice discernment, right? Let's talk about the Chandra symbol by Elias Lonsdale inside degrees. So 21 Leo presents a holly bush covered with berries. It's in the snow. This describes an image representing outward beauty supported by deep inner endurance. Even in harsh conditions, life remains present beneath the surface. It's pretty Pluto and Aquarius, isn't it? There's an enduring wisdom observing the constant drama of human experience without becoming consumed by it. The personality may continue swinging between extremes, seeking approval one moment and rejecting convention the next. Yet beneath those fluctuations exists something steady, mature, quietly aware. The symbol suggests that lasting strength comes not from dramatic performance, but from cultivating an inner center capable of remaining rooted regardless of changing external circumstances. So, like we have one talking about becoming aware of being intoxicated by appearances, excitement, the illusion of rapid enlightenment, which is very much like that. Gosh, that's almost like that opposition between Neptune and Venus, right? While the other reminds us that authentic growth actually develops through patience, resilience, and inner stability, right? That holly bush. So as the South Node moves through Leo, many of the identities, the of public images, the ambitions that used to define like success begin to lose their appeal. You're seeing that more and more. Like if we want to talk about celebrity, right? You know, shy of recently, more people have been going to the movies, but in general, that Neptune moving into Aries, um, it has definitely helped with changing the thought about celebrity. But you think they're human too. We're all one, right? So if we're the audience and we're looking at somebody having their fall from grace right in front of us, we realize, hey, you know what? They're not they're not better than me. They're not worth more than me. So yeah, it talks about like when those things start to lose their appeal and you start to see things a little differently. So, the what's left after that is basically just a clear understanding of who we are and who we are when there's nobody else to watch us. You know, who's Leo without the audience? So that's pretty much the gist of this eclipse, right? Are you leading with your heart? Or are you leading, are you performing because you want to look good in front of somebody, right? And so yeah, we're it's not that we're if you're having a hard time moving into that Aquarius North node, realize that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to be gradual and it's going to be collective. It's going to be happening for everybody. And so, it's just asking us to start acting and moving through life in a way that actually reflects the us that we've become. So that's pretty much where I was going wanting to go with all that. And I know I haven't even paid attention to the timer. I don't know how long we've been recording, but I'm going to go ahead and move into all signs now. So move into Aries. Why don't we? So I've kind of been talking about the whole Aries side of it for a while, right? So this is happening in Aries rising's first house or fifth house, I'm sorry. And so it is all those things that I've talked about. It's the childhood joy, it's creativity, it's romance, it's dating, it's sexy time, it's oh yeah, it being a creator, it is entrepreneurship, fifth houses, your passion projects, like the way that you express yourself, the things that make you feel most alive, where your heart just glows. This one, you may, if you're single, I say if you're single, I mean, if you're single, you may find that this is a time period where suddenly somebody comes in that you totally wouldn't have expected out of nowhere. Somebody's going to sweep you off your feet. And granted, that's not every Leo, but right, like if you have an important placement here, it could be fine. You could find that you find somebody that you really, really click with, and they probably feel really familiar. Remember our South Node eclipse. So it could be somebody that just feels like you've known this person your whole life, and immediate feelings. However, hold that discernment, right? So if you're still holding on, like if you're in a if you are single and you aren't necessarily ready to hook on, and somebody grabs a hold of you in a way that catches you off guard, and you think you want to make it something more serious, use that discernment. Please use the discernment. Have you cleaned out everything that needed to be cleaned out of that baggage of emotions? Have you cleaned out all of that stuff before you start hopping into something new and trying to make something long term out of it? Plus, relationships started during eclipses tend to be pretty powerful as far as let's say, yes, I'm going to say some of the karmic repercussions that end up unfolding are karmic lessons. So, if you I don't know. Earlier, I was talking about, or a place, if there's a sport or something that you've been into, or even it could be going back to. I was just thinking about, I grew up playing fast pitch softball. I grew up, doing all that. And then as an adult, doing it when it was 110 degrees outside, slow pitch, it just wasn't fun for me anymore. And I said, get that out. Get out of here with that. Kind of, that may have been around the last time that I had that may have been around the last time that the node was in my area. But yeah, you might feel like you need to jump into and get a new hobby, or um you may find a new creative endeavor. It could be art. It could be um, me- mentoring kids. Like I just got shown like the Big Brothers and Big Sisters organization. I mean, it doesn't have to be them specifically, but in that realm of mentoring younger kids, it could be helping, coach a team or do something that involves the children. And like I said earlier, uh, there may be pregnancies, especially if you're Aries rising. I mean, if you got Aries rising, Aries moon, or Aries sun, this is a very fertile time of year. And if you aren't having any more babies or birthing any new creative ideas, it could be that your kids are having kids, or your spouse's kids are having kids, or your your kids' friends are all having kids, and now they're feeling left out. I don't know. That's just ways that they play out, or even they're just hitting big milestones in their lives if you do have kids, right? Graduating high school, graduating college. One could be finally moving in with someone else. Others may decide to start just chasing their dreams and shoot for the sky with that Aquarius on the opposition, right? This is, a time where chasing your dream, it's more likely to become a reality than it ever has before. You know, Neptune talks about dreaming. I'm seeing Neptune and Aries being the pioneer, the maverick that's going to go get it. And yeah, with this eclipse series in Aquarius Leo, it's all about creating and pursuing your dreams and leading from the heart. And yeah, that's super exciting. Now, let's see. Oh, yeah, because you also are going to have with Mercury and Jupiter there, that's going to amplify those opportunities about like possible business launches, right? Marketing, teaching, writing, public speaking, performing, and just getting your influence out into the collective. So you got to reach out and you got to be willing to talk with people. I'm getting thrown back to a tarot reading that came up when we were doing our live stream earlier, and it's kind of a similar message. There's if there's knowledge or something that you want, you have to go over it, you have to go after it, and you have to be willing to talk to other groups or people that are knowledgeable about what you're going through. So those kind of conversations that you have and engage in are going to be those new doors that open for you. Okay. So you got to be willing to open up about that. And you've got, okay. And I'm also getting shown you have to be okay with not being perfect the first time you do it. You don't know success until you've encountered failures many times, right? Like to be good at this means you just have to start, right? So anyways, like you've got to be able to push yourself and push through what we've been going through over this past year that had a lot of us in our heads about our abilities, because Leo is your ability. And now at the same time, though, Jupiter can overinflate and add a little bit too much confidence just as much as it can expand those opportunities, right? Those doors may open, but it could also really expand your confidence. And so basically, with this being said, you basically just want to live up to your talk, right? If you say you can do something, you better be prepared and be ready to be able to do it, because the audience will see it. Now, overpromising could be another one. Don't over promise that something's going to be better than what it is, just because of Jupiter can expand the excitement of that. Now, the Pluto moving through the 11th house of friendships, organizations, and long-term goals. um, you may notice that some friendships that you've had It could be friendships, family members, groups, organizations that you've been tied into for long periods of time may not be meant to go with you into this next chapter. So if you start noticing the conversations fading away and you're not clicking as much as you were before, take that as a cue. You know, some friendships just kind of fade out naturally while new ones begin. So if you do have a bit of lull and you're feeling lonely, just continue building on what you're building on, and the right people will come through to you, Aries. So I hope that helps. We're going to move on to Taurus and Taurus rising. So this one's hitting you in your fourth house, whole sign. So this is going to be your home, family, roots, properties, your mom, your dad. Um, what emotionally makes you feel secure, the foundation in which your life is built, right? It's your home, it's your roots. The south node moving through there, it could be one of the strongest indicators that like tell you that it's time for something to change, like involving your living situation, family dynamics, or that you're going to see you're going to see something completely change in this area of your life over the next 6 months to year to 18 months, right? So some of you may move, you may just redecorate, renovate. You may, Tauruses may be like, you may be buying or selling property. You may be getting into a new lease agreement, or finally even just moving away from a place that you've outgrown. So I could see some Tauruses like having some issues go on with their parents too, because you've got, I mean, they say fourth house is like mother, right? But the opposition is father, or 10th house. And depending on your life story, fourth house could be a father too, but you could also be experiencing some changes within the parental dynamic, eclipses. Hopefully none of you lose any parents during the eclipse, but it could be that that maybe one of your parents or guardians that you have grown up with suddenly end up having some sort of illness or something, and you have to take on a bigger role at home. You may notice when I say that in that bigger role in the fourth house in general, but you may have to just kind of reorganize, what your definition as a home is. If somebody has, if you got a parent or somebody that is going through a surgery or something, or they're at the point to where maybe they need assisted living, but you would rather they just stay with you. Maybe that talks about reorganization of the home. All right. So I'm also seeing like emotional patterns, outgrowing emotional patterns that just don't fit with who you are anymore. I think that this can also come into realms of, so how I'm being shown it is like the audience being family, and I'm being shown somebody who is like, they're always known for reacting a certain way or for overblowing something, making something way bigger than it ever should be. And I think that maybe you don't react that way and you catch people off guard. And I think that other people are starting to see the change in you, or you're starting to see the change in them. And that is changing the emotional dynamic of the environment at home. That's just how I was shown it. Doesn't mean it's your story. But your family roles may change, or like I was talking about the emotional thing. You're something that's just shaped your identity and how you emotionally relate to everything and how you process emotions, I think is maturing. And with that, it may require that you let go of, and I'm seeing enablers. Enablers. Okay. So if you have friends or family members that are you consider home, that haven't changed, that are very much always the same, and you're finding that you're outgrowing them, that's okay. It's okay to let people go, especially if you got somebody that's although they may cheer for you, they may be also helping enable some bad habits that are hindering your forward movement. Time to let that go. Mercury and Jupiter also being in Leo kind of is also going to talk about how everything fourth house is going to become a whole lot louder and bigger and more in your face. And although it could be really good for like real estate and home-based businesses and remodeling project, you could also find that this emotional maturity that you've been going through helps you be able to deal with certain family members in a more understanding, compassionate way, if that makes sense. And you may find some relationships old. So it's being shown to me as like older relationships that you've had that are still in your life, but they're just at the peripheral. And all you have is your past experiences with the person to go on. So I'm seeing that be a chapter that's closing out, and maybe some older family members and stuff are coming back into your life, and you're seeing them with fresh eyes and they're seeing you with fresh eyes. Okay. Pluto moving through your 10th house. Woo! Taurus, what you got going on with your career, your legacy, your public life, how people know you, right? Um, that Pluto being the polarity, the polar opposite to your Leo fourth house. Um, it's kind of an interesting balance between professional and personal growth. I mean, if you think about it, because if you're maturing emotionally, then that's only going to amplify the output that Pluto puts out on your MC. So that's cool. I like that for you guys a whole lot. Um, hmm. Let's see. So what would that be? I mean, some of you like may have just changes to like where you're working from home a lot too. Is another thing that could be going on during this transit. Um, and also with the whole maturing and greater success level, it could be that one of these older connections, excuse me, one of these older connections, whether it be a family member or old friend or somebody from your past comes back in and they notice this change within you and they see this bigger potential, and it may actually open up new avenues, new opportunities for you. So keep an eye out for that, especially with my Taurus suns and risings. So, it's anything that's going to last. It always has to begin with a solid foundation. And I think that with your emotional roots being at the foundation of this, with you, your children, your family, when that's more stable, you can only bet that Pluto up in Aquarius, this North Node up on your 10th house, is going to take you some pretty cool, weird, revolutionary places. And I'm super excited for you with this, because I think that the universe has kind of been waiting for you to reach this moment to really really push through the way that you show up for the world. So I hope that helps, Taurus. And yeah, we're gonna move on to Gemini rising. So Gemini, this is happening in your house, in the third whole sign house, which is everything you, communication, learning, you know, brothers and sisters, your neighbors, contracts, writing, communicating, moving around, transportation, social media, your local community, and the way that you learn and the way that you process information. So the South Node, new moon, solar eclipse is happening in your third house. And because Mercury actually rules your chart, this eclipse is going to feel really pretty significant to you guys. And you could find yourself randomly deciding that you want to take on a new study, right? You may want to suddenly start taking courses. You may want to start writing a book, launch a podcast, uh, start a marketing campaign for a new business that you've been working on, or products. I'm seeing markets like selling, trading back and forth. Like if you've been Leo over the third, creating stuff and actually marketing it online for the broader audience would be fantastic. A fantastic thing for you guys to start planting seeds with. And now the other part of it with being the South Node and letting go of old belief systems, letting go of old ways of thinking about things, and letting go of um, so how I'm seeing this is like, we grow up when you grow up with siblings, right? And you have this certain thought about one of your siblings, like your whole life. And you're like, oh, well, they're just always that way. Well, I think that some dynamics are going to be changing because you're going to be seeing them express themselves in a different way, and it's going to allow you to feel more comfortable to open up and understand that there has been change, and to let go of any outdated beliefs about certain people. uh, can be siblings in your life, just people in your local environment. It could be that you decide suddenly that you want to start a food drive in your area. I know that's not necessarily food, but if or have a book online book group or something like that. You can find that these kind of matters are going to be coming into play. But with the all the realizations and the changes that have actually helped you start to see things a little bit differently are definitely for your greater good, right? It's You've probably been losing people gradually that have fallen out of your friend groups. You've probably you may notice that you're having a hard time. You may have been having a hard time connecting with people that have similar likes, and that's all been for a good reason. Your knowledge base your knowledge base is growing, and you want to continue to grow it. And in order to do that, with the eclipse, the moon's covering up the sun. It's like blacking it out. It's like a blank slate, right? So you've got to be willing to, sometimes you got to go through a little bit of dark for the light to come, right? And so, I can anticipate that you're going to start having more friend groups, more friends come around, maybe even getting closer with your siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, getting closer with family and doing more things with family. Now, Mercury and Jupiter also being in Leo for you is going to make your voice one of the strongest assets you have, Gemini. Your voice and your mind, right? And it's going to obviously Jupiter expands it. And so anything that you put out, teaching, writing, public speaking, publishing, any of that kind of stuff, your networking, your education, business development, all that stuff, pushing it out across to your ninth house, Aquarius, is going to be incredible for you guys. As long as you're using your discernment and you're taking in the like the whole conversation we had earlier, you got to think before you speak, right? And does it really need to be said that loud with Mercury being in Leo? So as to not offend or anything like that. Um, but you may notice that you have new opportunities come your way, especially if you are publishing or starting your own, like, YouTube channel or podcast or whatever, you may notice that your numbers significantly grow. New contracts may come into play. Um, and that would be over the next several months, especially with Jupiter being there. Jupiter's going to be there for about a year, which is cool. But with all of that energy, I would say definitely important with the South Node to make sure that you review any contracts, especially any written contracts that you have going on before committing to anything, just because it sounds good. Like, you know, suddenly going 50-50 on a business with your best friend, even though they don't know anything about the topic that you're in business with them for, right? So just read the fine print, make sure it's something that's going to work for you, and it's not just being done out of that yeah, young that childhood joy or wonder, right? So Pluto going through your ninth house as well is going to, like I said, it's going to continue to help. Yes, it can help grow your market, but it's going to continue to change and unearth some things that totally blow your mind and change your belief systems on things. That's all part of it. You may have a change in your spiritual uh, belief system, your worldview, and just kind of where you're headed in life in general. So be open with Uranus being in your sign too, Gemini. I'm just going to say this. You guys are getting such fast psychic hits. It's like you're like little antennas, and you're shooting off a signal and you're receiving the signal. Make sure that you're paying attention to those signals because you are highly intuitive right now. You really are. And pay attention to the synchronicities. Um, and this is stay curious, keep asking questions, keep wanting to learn more. Like but you got to learn how to ask maybe better questions, right? So if I think about the discernment of Leo and your third house, needing to voice something out to the collective, your ninth house, Aquarius. Um, Make sure that when you're preparing for stuff, and I'm getting shown the AI side of it too, right? So when you're searching for answers rather than wanting to have, we know you want to have all the details, right? You want to have everything, all the bits of knowledge that you can have. But the important thing is to ask the right questions about it. Because if you're going to go present it and all you have is this fact, this fact, this fact, this fact, and it's all willy nilly and it's not in any really context that makes sense to the point that you're trying to make, it's going to be hard to sell the audience what you're speaking, right? I know my words didn't come out very right there, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So, it's being flexible when, I mean, you're a mutable sign as it is, but you got to be willing to change your mind if you see evidence that proves you something different, Gemini, right? We know you're incredibly smart, incredibly funny, talented, creative. But I've known many Geminis that get very set that they know that they are right about something, and you will continue to stand on that hill. So just be willing to ask better questions, right? Ask the right questions and be willing to change your mind when evidence presents itself. And you'll actually see this as being an excellent opportunity, not just for internal growth, intellectual internal growth, but also for an external opportunity to come your way, Gemini. So wish you best. We're going to move on to Cancers. So Cancer Sun, Cancer rising. This one's happening for you in your second house, your second whole sign house of income, finances, possessions, your personal values, your self-worth, your confidence, your talents, right? Money, financial changes are definitely possible. I can't say that it's not. Yes, technically you could have a windfall, but you could also have a good amount dump out. But within the next 6 months to a year, especially, um, it has a lot more to do with, let's say, these financial outcomes, since it has to do with money as well, has a lot to do with how you are resonating and how you are vibrating on a daily basis in regards to what you believe you deserve. Are you worthy of having this money, or more money, right? So the south node being in the second house can show you where you've had that scarcity mindset, where you've got outdated beliefs about what success looks like, what what you truly deserve, and or what's limiting what you're able to receive. So the way that you manifest is actually going to be a part of this, Cancer. The way that you truly feel, if you're feeling like you don't have enough, that's going to make you act out of an emotional place of uh it's like a lack mindset, right? um I don't even know what that song is. I just got thrown a song. Why did I just get shown Gold Digger, Kanye West? Yeah. Why did like, oh, okay. Okay. Like you're trying to be a big baller, but you're driving a Datsun. Right. That kind of thing. That just came out of nowhere. Thanks, guys. Whatever that was about. But anyways, so you Cancer, some of you Cancer risings and especially suns may find that your way of making money is changing, right? The type of income that you're bringing in is different than what it was before. With the South Node that talks about releasing away that something was happening before, and so that could be a scary place, especially if you're not full on into the new thing and you're not bringing any income from the old thing yet, and you're in that place that can leave you scared and kind of worried about what's next. So keep in mind that whole vibration thing that I was talking to you about. Know that you're worthy of success. Know that you are, um, know that you're wealthy. When you know that you're wealthy in love and life, the universe will agree that you're wealthy and you'll have some more good stuff come your way. That's just kind of law of assumption, law of attraction, however you want to put it, right? So, anyways, what else in that area? So, oh, and then if you're talking about if you're performing an act of work or duty or service for somebody, and because you're so worried about somebody not being a client again or a customer again, potentially like maybe you've been undervaluing yourself by not charging enough for your services or your gifts or your creations, let's put it that way. Let's see. Mercury and Jupiter. Yeah, we'll move over there. So Mercury and Jupiter are also there, moving through your second house, which not bad, right? That's not too bad. Like that's going to open opportunities, if anything, involving business growth, salary increases, new clientele, investments for sure, or expanding to multiple streams of income, as I was kind of mentioning or alluding to a minute ago. So Mercury being there, it's going to be big to talk about this stuff, right? So communication is going to be key about the money, the importance of compensation, the importance of like, yeah, how much you're charging for what it is that you do, whether you're getting paid a decent hourly wage. Like, so negotiating, right? That's going to be big. Discussing shared finances, since that's going to be your opposition of eighth house that talks about other people's monies, that talks about taxes, inheritances, debts, those kind of things. And Pluto being in your eighth house, transforming that area of the shared resources, the debts, the inheritances. That's the house of psychological transformations. Um, so it kind of basically means that both of these areas of your life are going to be having experiences that help you level up on worth and value. How beautiful is that? I love that for you guys. And so it's an excellent time if you're wanting to catch up and kind of get ahead of things. It's an excellent time to be paying down your debts. It's an excellent time to be looking for the long term. And investments is also eighth house kind of stuff, second, eighth house stuff. But bringing it into more practical planning. It indicates you and others, right? The Leo Aquarius dynamic, but the second house, eighth house definitely amplifies that, right? So although you may find that you have to let some stuff go, even like some expenditures, maybe you've been spending too much, or you're finding where you have to redo your budget, let go of some of the things, sell some of your property that is weighing you down. Like, there's no, it's like a good purge. There's nothing like a good purge of when you load up and, you're either moving and you got a big dumpster to throw a bunch of shit into, or, you decide that you're going to redo a room or something, right? And so, you're going to do some remodeling on on what you value, right? So you're going to get rid of a bunch of stuff and take it to Goodwill, and then you come back in, you're like, wow, that feels lighter, right? Anyways, so I got a little sidetracked. So maybe sell some stuff. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so I'm also seeing like I'm seeing how when you change what you feel you're worthy of, or when you enhance and you know within that you're worthy and you're worth more than what you've been receiving, uh, and you start to truly authentically live in that, the audience starts to see that same thing in you. And not only do they see that same thing in you and they want to, be your audience, but like in your case, it being in what you value, it may help you gain increased self-worth and increased income at the same time. That sounds like a hell of a win-win for me. All right. So, anyways, I hope that helps you out. Leo risings. We are going into your first. This is your eclipse, Leo. So you've got this is like a big time for you. It really is. I mean, the nodes just shifted there. You've got Jupiter, you've got Mercury there. Wow. All right. So you may be having a whole lot of changes in, gosh, the way you present yourself in general, right? So your body, your physical body. You may be getting your hair did, getting your nails done. You may be getting a new um, wardrobe. You may be getting a new piercing, a new tattoo, you know. You may be finding that you're, what I'm getting is like somebody that's outgrown something, right? Like, so let's say you've always dressed emo, right? And the black and the goth or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I think I like neon now. I'm just gonna wear my neon pink, or something like that. So, and it could just also be the direction in your life. You may be like, look, I've been here, done that. I've outlived this and that and the other thing, and I'm just ready to just authentically be me and go live and love life in my way. So, you know, that'll definitely impact the way that people experience you, right? So first house, seventh house dynamics. So since this one is a south node solar eclipse, it's less about like becoming somebody totally different, right? But it's more like shedding an old version of who you used to be, right? So it's kind of like you've outgrown you've outgrown some things and you're maturing, and you may have even played a certain role for so long, or carried certain responsibilities, held on to relationships, since Aquarius is over yourself, could have been holding on to relationships longer than you should have, like you've outgrown a certain so and so, and you're feeling less and less like yourself for staying in the situation. So this eclipse is going to begin closing that gap out. Yes, it could happen immediately, but it could just be like within the next 6 months or so, that you do notice that the way that you perform a role, whether it be work, home, or even just your title. I'm seeing a badge, like the role that you're playing. Those are probably starting to feel pretty damn burdensome, and you're wanting to let them go. So and since this is happening in your own sign, it has to do a lot with you being visible, Leo. Uh, how you're carrying your confidence, how you're stepping into your leadership role, how you are creatively expressing, or are you authentically expressing yourself, and you're going to be in a way that's going to be harder and harder and harder to ignore. Now, Leo rising's probably more likely to just totally reinvent the whole way you look, whether your whole appearance. And I'm almost seeing it like taking on a role, and I'm seeing it like a character or a role in a play, right? Like jumping into the next thing. But this one is authentic. It's like, what is now, I just saw the whole Pulp Fiction thing where the guy opens the case and it's glowing gold, right? And then I'm seeing it as like the soul, right? So what has your soul been yearning for is kind of like the way that I anticipate a lot of Leos to start living authentically from. If I say that word one more time, it's going to make me nuts, though. So, but yeah, basically, I think you're going to be getting courage. That's the word I'm looking for. You're going to be getting a whole lot more courage and gumption to step into a more of a leadership role, but with more so of a genuine care to actually teach and properly lead and educate those that you'll be working with. More so that it's not coming from such a selfish place, which is really beautiful. And if you are finding that you're still trying to lead from that selfish place for kudos, accolades, and recognition, and being in the spotlight, then you may be checked. Be totally honest. You may be checked by your audience, and it'll be pretty loud and clear. But I think that Leo's do it. Leo be all right. They've been ready for their big reveal, right? So the change in self doesn't happen without the change in perspective first, based off of experiences, right? So you can expect that, and if it hasn't already happened, that it's going to happen pretty soon for you, where some shit's going to go down in your life that's going to totally change the way that you see things, and that in turn is going to change the way that you end up being seen in the world. No pressure. No pressure, Leo, but hey. All right. So Mercury and Jupiter traveling through your sign are going to amplify your voice, your ideas, your ability to shine in the light and influence others as you do so. So great period for all that stuff that I was talking about: the leadership, the mentoring, the teaching, the speaking publicly, the starting a business. It's like Leo's been working on stuff for years and years and years and years, and now it's your time to finally go, ta-da, here it is. And you it definitely can bear fruit. Just because it's happening on an eclipse doesn't mean that it's going to be here and gone like that. But it happening in your first house, there's going to be some major life chapters that are going to be changing. If you have 20 degrees Leo rising, holy hell, be ready for your next couple years to just be one thing after another. But I guarantee you it'll land you in a much better place, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. I have to put that in there just because I've had it on my rising before. So, but it could also blow you into big popularity, right? It could amplify and make your with the North Node in Aquarius with Pluto, it could really expand your audience big time. So if you are marketing or if you are a creator, you may find that you end up leaving a long-standing career, relationship, partnership to go it alone and fly solo as like an entrepreneur or as a freelancer. Getting that for you too. But with Mercury and Jupiter and Leo, be careful how you express outwardly your words and your thoughts and your feelings about what you're not willing to tolerate anymore in relationships. Just because Jupiter and Mercury make things pretty big. It could also be a period where you have to launch something awesome, right? Like so, if you've created something and you're about to go solo and do something new, um, take your friends with you, right? Get your audience, get your friends, get your loved ones that support you and thoroughly want to see you succeed. Bring them with you. If there's anybody else that's falling out and saying, Leo, you are too much, like I'm so tired of hearing about that shit, blah, 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 blah. And it's something that your heart desires, that you love, that you adore, whether it's being a fashionista or, you know, an actor, an actress, just a teacher, sports, awesome at sports or whatever, if somebody is not falling in line with you anymore, then you've got to be okay with letting those relationships go because they're only hindering your growth and progress. So, um, yeah, ending things that have finally kind of played out that you've delayed out of leaving because of fear of obligation or whatever. You're going to notice a dramatic, not to say that because Leo, but dramatic shift, right? You're going to have that happening. So, yeah, the opportunities are going to come out of nowhere, and you got to be ready to grab them. And it's going to have to. You've been. It's like you've been waiting years to arrive at this moment. You've been sitting in this hold, this wait, this pause. Just waiting for something to happen, and it's time. I mean, this eclipse season. It's time. I think that also at the same time with Jupiter being there, like and magnifying things, any habits that you may have, or when I say habits, I mean like let's say opportunities that you may have to be able to improve would include uh making sure not to take everything like with the Jupiter and Leo. Um, you don't want to become overly bombastic, right? Like, be careful of the ego side of this transit. It can make you come off extra prideful. You don't want to overcommit to things or set unrealistic expectations. Jupiter can make you feel really generous and all of that, but there's only one you, Leo, and you have to stay grounded in your vision and do so without the need of feeling like you have to please everyone or you have to go after everybody's approval, right? The need for validation, keep that within you, and the more that you keep that validation coming from your heart space, the more it outwardly projects to the world in a more receptive place that people are more likely to latch on with you. And so we've talked about this. Oh yeah. So but as like this cycle of eclipses is supposed to be ending in like 2028. So you do have some time for all of this fun unfoldment to happen. You'll have to let me know in the comments how this works out for you guys. But I guarantee you, especially if you're a Leo rising, you are barely even going to recognize your life in a couple years. So have fun. Virgo and Virgo rising. So this one is happening in a much more quiet place. It's happening in your 12th house, right? It's where it's more like the house of isolation, privacy. It's where the most private, unconscious psychological areas in our chart, right? It talks about endings, spirituality. Um, it's where we're the space, the liminal space that we're in when we're healing traumas. It's when we're resting. It's like I said earlier today. It's hospitals. It's ashrams, it's spiritual retreats, it's um, mental hospitals, it's prisons, it's dream time. So all of those hidden, all those quiet places of solitude, right? So it's basically where everything like operating under the surface tries to come to consciousness, right? So for the 12th house, it's going to feel a lot more internal for you than an outward expression. Unless you just straight up have something to where you're going to end up where you end up having to have a surgery or something, or you end up in the hospital. But you may notice that you're like finding yourself wanting to pull back from other people. Like especially with the South Node just coming out of your sign, Virgo, you may be finding yourself questioning some long held beliefs that you've had for many, many, many years. And you may find that you need more time alone to process some of this stuff. We don't like although we're mutable, we don't care for a whole lot of change. We like things to make sense and we like to be great at what we do. And, think that the way that we believe is right, but so recognizing maybe some emotional patterns that we've outgrown, um, that have quietly like influenced how we go about life for a lot of years. That's going to be changing, and it's going to be in a slow and unconscious change. May also be a period to where um, you find things to where that were like trauma points in your life, and you've kind of held on to these certain coping mechanisms, and or even emotional patterns, like you hold on to guilt, grief, if you're holding on to fear. um Kind of goes back to that fear of not being enough, but fear of not, like, Virgos have that messed up thing to where we fear not being great at not being good at something. But there's going to be some unconscious things that are unfolding that help you overcome and release and let go of some of that South Node stuff. Now, you may, and it could also be habits, right? So if it's 12th house, it's also the house of our self undoing, right? Opposition, 6th house, Aquarius. So it's going to be a period where you're kind of where you're able to, you may even find that it's easier to let go of some things, or you may find yourself more easily adapting or even surprising yourself with the way that you are responding to something as opposed to the old version of you would. So that's all wonderful. There's plenty of great 12th house healing to happen. Trust, I've been through a lot of it over this past couple of years. So now this could be ending relationships, that it could be stepping away from a career. 6th house can be work. So it could be stepping away from responsibilities that you've been holding on to and doing way too much of, where there's not been an even give and take, to where you're over sacrificing or over, like you're, like, let's say, you're the only one that does all the housework and all the grocery shopping and all the this, and then you're the one that gets all the kids to bed and you do everything. Well, that imbalance ain't going to work anymore, and you've got to be honest with yourself. Like, you can be a superhero all you want, Virgo, because we know you can lay it down and really polish, make everything look nice, pretty, and polished. And you're not afraid to dip in and do the hard work. But what is that doing on your psyche? What is that doing on in your relationships? Like, if you're are you latching on to something because you're afraid of letting go, or feeling like a failure. Humility and humiliation are a couple of Virgo words. And I'm a Virgo sun. I know both of those words really well. you know uh, I've been humbled, I've been humiliated, and it's only those kind of things that that can sometimes knock us down to our level and help us overcome some of our own ways that we get in our way. But with this, I will say that this being the 12th house, sixth house, if you are in an unhealthy work environment, an unhealthy living environment, whatever is taking your time, whether it's a relationship, yes, you can have a love relationship in the sixth house, whether it's a love relationship, whether it's a unhealthy work environment. I'm seeing health matters pop up for you. Okay. But mental health is health, right? And that's like 12th house. Sixth house is more like physical health. 12th house is more like, to me, like the mental health, but it can also be your physical body. So, where are you wearing yourself then to a point to where it's affecting your health, right? You can't keep carrying everything for everyone, so you're going to be going through a period where it's going to be okay to drop the big fu, or the big no. I'm going to own my no. No, I'm not going to do that. No. It's one thing to teach somebody how to do it and to give them all the things that they need to be able to do it, but if you keep stepping in and doing it for them, they're never going to learn, Virgo. But anyways, let me kind of move forward. So it talks this. I'm getting the 12th house being avoidance too. So avoidance and healing and addictions and self undoing. So what I'm getting at is you may find that it's time for you to stop lying to yourself about some things that that in ways that you've been selling yourself short, and maybe even outgrowing some ways of being, I guess I should say. Like, Virgo has a tendency to prioritize everybody else, right? I mean, and that, especially if you've got this 12th house, sixth house, if the audience is your sixth house, it's not everything has to be done by you for it to get done. So let's leave those unhealthy work environments, and or just thinking that that productivity is the only thing that is going to keep you worthy. That's not a cool way to do it. So you're going to probably be doing a lot of resting. Like, you may find that during this period, you may feel like really exhausted and need to rest. But Mercury and Jupiter moving through those houses um, talks more about like the thought process, like and I guess all that was, so Mercury, you're ruled by Mercury, but Jupiter's going to make everything so much bigger. So, you know, utilize your smarts. You're highly intelligent and you know how to get all the answers to anything you possibly need. Your little pattern recognition self. So use some of that knowledge to start, if you need to start working on something and you're not sure how to do it. um, maybe it's time to start researching some of those things, right? Like start spending more time planning, researching, writing, studying into how to overcome these certain things that you're dealing with. Some of them could be traumas. I mean, 12th house is past life stuff too. So like if you're finding that you're getting revelations coming from this or changes in perspectives and it's bringing you into this new realm of something that's getting you kind of I'm getting like it coming from a creative standpoint in the 12th house. If things start arising, it could be that with these faded eclipse times that it's a period to where universe is kind of going, hey, did you know about this one? I saw somebody light their Bic lighter. Hey, psh, did you know about this one? Did you really know that you had this over here, this skill? And like maybe you could publish it to bigger audiences. You could maybe benefit abroad, things like that. I know like 12th house is kind of like long distance travels and things like that, but it's also money from those kind of um, far distances away. So that just popped up here to me, but it's something that you're going to be in a pause with. If you do decide to create something and something that helps people work through, let's say shadow work, Virgo, let's be honest, this could be a place where you are going through a lot of shadow work. Okay. A lot of gaining a lot of psychological knowledge may be a great time for you to tap into Carl Jung and individuation and Alan Watts or other things that you're interested in learning about. And if you're thinking about becoming it, launching it as a creative idea or even a business, right? Since entrepreneurship is Leo, this isn't something that you can expect is going to come out right away. It's for later consumption, right? That's going to be more so along the lines of the when the node shift again. But anyways, yeah, dream work too. So Mercury and Jupiter going through the 12th house, which I said does have to do with sleep. Um, it's time for you to pamper yourself pretty well. And if you're going to be listening to and taking in information, I'm just seeing Virgo like me. I like usually have a podcast in my ear. I'm always trying to learn new stuff, right? But it's important time to pay attention to those dreams. So dream journaling is going to be really great for you. You're going to likely get a lot of information that comes through your dreams that, I mean, with it being Jupiter, it could even be prophetic. All right. So, pretty cool. But Pluto going through your sixth house is transforming, what your daily routine looks like, what your work routine looks like. But it also talks about your health habits, right? And having better boundaries. And having greater attention to both your physical and mental well-being. And this one, although it's going to be a quiet eclipse for you, I do want to also say doesn't mean that it's not going to be big, okay? Because the realizations, and again, the sun shines bright, but when the moon totally eclipses the sun and things get dark, if it weren't dark, how would we ever see the light, right? So, that being said, don't mistake quiet for insignificant, Virgo. Love you. Wish you a good eclipse. Libra and Libra rising. So, this total solar eclipse is going to be activating your 11th house of friends, dreams, communities, your network, organizations, your long term goals, and your hopes for the future, and all that jazz like social media, your audience. The people who help shape your path forward, right? That is a beautiful place, but there's going to be some changes happening. So the South Node, the presence there suggests that the social landscape is going to be changing, right? It's going to have a significant change. So like that again goes to some of your friends and groups may have just reached their natural conclusion and it's time to let those things go so that you can move forward and grow. And that could apply to the same thing, certain organizations, online communities, even, or even an old dream that you had may not necessarily fit who you are today anymore, right? So while you may see a total shift on the, your 11th house sector of what groups you connect with, you're going to have a whole change based off of who you are, like I said. But this, since it's futuristic in the 11th house, it doesn't mean that it has to be even a split because you guys don't have the same interest or whatever, or that you've outgrown each other. It could also be that people in, a certain, whether it's you, right? It's you or it's friend in that group or whatever are moving toward your own dream, and that puts a separation between you two, then it could be something more like that. It doesn't have to be dramatic just because it's Leo. But it basically is going to be a sweet one for you because of the house placement and with Jupiter and Mercury being there. It should be a sweet release if you do have to part with anybody, because it's kind of like, it's all right. We had a great time and we'll talk again. And I wish you the best. You've waited your whole life for this. Go get it, kind of thing. So once you start noticing the phase out of those groups or people, right, that end up shifting, it's going to light up an area where you start noticing, because of the way that you are authentically expressing, that new groups and new communities and new dreams start to come to you. Okay. And you got to remember that, we can love people. We can love the people that we can love, our friendship groups. We can love, our spouse, sibling, like we can love all these people, but if they're not urging us to grow or celebrating our growth, or we're finding ourselves getting stuck and stagnant, that's a big red flag that that's time for you to start changing up some of those things. So Libra, that long-term vision, the dreams, like I said, those may change, and it's not because you like failed at your dream, but it's like your dream of what you're planning to do is changing and evolve. So things that you once thought were important to do and to include your group in may not necessarily be very cool to you anymore. You're like, I'm tired of investing 2 nights a week to this, to this online book club, or this online group that they just bore the bejesus out of me, right? Like that's kind of how I'm like seeing it. Like I'm just not into that anymore. And that's okay. That you've changed, you've evolved. That kind of stuff is supposed to happen. So you're going to start noticing that new ambitions are going to start kicking into gear, and that Leo energy is going to want you to create and inspire and do all those things within the group. And remember that sometimes those individual contributions, like the long-term vision and what you're doing, the individual gifts that we have, um south node, okay, all right, so I'm getting the individual gifts south node that we have, like, are are better shared with others, right? So it's like your houses are flip flop. So I'm trying to think, what is it you may find that there is this new inspiration, you have this new long term vision goal that is different from what you initially envisioned for many, many, many years. All of a sudden, it's going to click, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I need to go this way with it. This is what I want to do. This would benefit the collective. This would benefit my audience, my group, my peer group, my work, my workplace, my persona, like my this would make things It's the authenticity. You're going to be going from your heart. And I'm sorry, I've been talking for several hours now, so I'm starting to get kind of tired. But yeah, like this is an exciting placement, and it shows to where like the things that you're good at, where it can benefit the group as opposed to just yourself, right? Leo, Leo the 11th. So, um, Mercury and Jupiter going through your 11th house. Great for broadening horizons when it comes to anything over the next 18 months like that would help us grow our community, our long-term vision, our goal, bring us into new organizations, collaborative projects, pairing up with others online, professional associations, or even new friendships that kind of just totally change the direction of where your life's been going. And that's exciting because you're going to have meaningful doors that end up being opened up for you. And I'm not going to say this could be you're looking, this could be love. This could be a new love relationship. This could be a case to where you end up finding a new business partner. If we're talking about entrepreneurship, it could also be like just meeting a brand new like an old okay so a lifelong friend, right? Like somebody expressing the interest to move forward with you in a dream that like you wouldn't have ever even expected that this person would want to have anything to do with what your vision or dream was. But Venus rules you, and it's going to be like in Libra during this eclipse. So, I mean, you're being fully supported. Pluto going through your fifth house of creativity and romance and self expression. Like I said, that one could be a little more, you're just going to want to be a little more intentional about where you invest your energy because rather than seeking approval from everyone, like you're going to begin on focusing your attention towards building relationships with people who genuinely appreciate you for you and for what you bring to the table, Libra. That's exciting. And I love this for you guys and for the Aries risings. It's woohoo! Bring it on. We're going to move forward to Scorpio. Love you guys. All right, Scorpio and Scorpio rising. So this one is happening in your 10th house of where your MC is, your house of career, reputation, public image, your legacy, the recognition that you receive, your achievements, and of course, long-term professional ambitions. So this one is the most visible house out of all of them. Everybody can see what's going on there. It could be that you end up making career changes, having, launching promotions or even launching a new business. But it likely has to do with leadership opportunities and those kind of major shifts into the public eye in that way may not necessarily be the most comfortable for you, Scorpio. However, you're very powerful, you're very strong, and you're good. You're good with those boundaries. So I think that it'll be pretty great. But this is actually going to be one of the biggest places to where if you are looking to launch a new business or make a career change, like it's very possible and very supported by the universe over the next few months. So but with this being the South Node eclipse, obviously, you got to let something go. So whether it's some old professional chapter needing to be released, accept this as your chime to go, it's that time, babe. Time to move forward with this new thing. You got to let go of the old stuff first. So, you could also just be completing an important project, or if you're not leaving a job for another job, or maybe you're retiring, right? Maybe maybe the role that you've been carrying for your whole forever adult life isn't serving you anymore. Maybe you've outgrown that. I just saw somebody being a teacher like way into their way past their time and then finally deciding to go ahead and retire and then deciding, nope, I'm just going to make pottery, like, so I'm gonna spin in the wheel and like I'm just gonna do this and listen to whatever music I want and just like enjoy life, right? Anyway, so sorry about the scroll moment, but yeah, it's there's going to be a change in what success looks like for you now. So I think that you've kind of realized that you can go through and you can live your life and you can receive all the accolades and all kinds of stuff over your career. And you can be it with a company for, 30 years, 40 years. But you kind of feel like if you don't get this passion project or if you don't do this thing that your soul's earning for, that that other success doesn't mean shit if I don't accomplish what my soul knows that I need to do now. So you're going to feel that deep urge to push and to go through these changes, Scorpio. You're built for that shit. So excited for you on that. And it's that whole, Leo thing. Are you doing something just because it makes you look good? Right? Like, are you clearly leading people just because you want to be seen as the head honcho? Or I think some Scorpios are finding that their goals and their ambitions are starting to change a bit. um and also we could have some Scorpios, especially Scorpio risings, receiving some great accolades, some long overdue acknowledgement for some hard work and years of hard work or amazing creations that you've done. And while others are sitting there, like you may be finally getting those accolades, but even as you're getting them, that visibility increases. It's going to make it a period where you're going to be like, yeah, this is the pinnacle. It's time for me to go do this on my own. And so this will be an excellent period, especially if you're looking to get into any kind of entrepreneurial work. So this applies to like, as far as the field goes with Leo over your 10th. That's going to be like, I mean, obviously being a business owner, but a creator, a teacher, educator, an executive, of course, as well. But it has to do, I mean, it does have to do with public visibility. So, I mean, anything that you're doing is definitely going to have that Leo Aquarius dynamic, right? And have a bearing on reputation. So, with that, I think that Scorpios are going to need to take it a little more serious about the reputation side of it. I know you typically don't like to care what other people think of you, right? And you're way much deeper than you ever like to expose to people. But the public visibility is going to maybe feel a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's keeping you like what's the word I'm looking for? If everything you're doing is out in the spotlight, then it holds you accountable, right? It holds you accountable, and you become so authentic that like that version of you that's out in front of the public eye is so much more authentic than having to, I don't know how to even say it. Basically like just performing it to be seen. I know how to say it. I'm just getting tired. So you know how Leo performs for the audience and to be seen. Well, are you doing it for that, or are you doing it because you truly value what you do and who you do it for? Mercury and Jupiter going through your 10th house is going to create opportunities that are going to come your way. You just got to be ready for them. So expect that people may approach you. And you're going to have opportunities through your visibility to help you do more things that are like that, right? Like, so interviews, negotiations, presentations, networking, teaching, publishing, marketing. It's a time period where Jupiter and Mercury together there are going to expand your influence, right? And so just remember that Jupiter tends towards excess and reminds you to avoid taking on more responsibility than you can realistically sustain, right? So Pluto is down in your fourth house, and that's house of home, family, your roots, your foundation, your personal life, professional life access is being transmuted. You know that word. It's evolving. You're evolving together. So changes at home can influence your career decisions and vice versa, right? The career opportunities may actually require that you make some adjustments within your family or living situation. So, this is the dynamic that you're going to be dealing with over the next 6 months to a year, Scorpio. And, gotta love what you do and remember why you chose that path in the first place. So, hope that helps. And we're going to move on. Just about done. I really need a break. Sag and Sag rising. So, this happened for you guys in your ninth whole sign house of higher education, foreign travels, publishing, spirituality, long journeys, philosophy, law, teaching, belief systems, right? So it's what helps you shape your understanding of the world. And because this is a south node eclipse happening there for you over the next 6 months or so, you may notice that the expansion that you get is by only because you're releasing some of these outdated perspectives so that the new ones can come in, right? Changes in belief systems. A lot of Sagittarius and Sag risings you're going to be finding that your belief systems that you've long held to be true, and those are going to change. Changes in your educational path, changes in your career, changes in, finally like getting to do a bunch of traveling where you never had before, like not as, like you needed to travel. So you may notice that you're having to do some traveling and traveling to places though that like alter your perspective, and it can't even be on a spiritual level, okay, because of it being ninth house. So and this can change your whole direction of your life, but it talks about acquiring knowledge, developing wisdom, and keep in mind sometimes that wisdom comes from knowing what no longer, yeah, like not everything that we thought was true is true, by knowing better. And also ninth house Jupiter, Leo. So I'm thinking, obviously, this can also be legal matters, right? It could be matters of immigration, publishing. It could be like graduating college. It could be universities. It could be certifications, getting certified in certain careers, or just opportunities connected to foreign countries or cultures. If you've been considering doing some publishing or writing a book, launching a course, returning to school, becoming a mentor or a teacher, or just finding a way to share your knowledge with an audience, Mercury and Jupiter traveling through this house is going to be incredible for you. People are going to be more receptive to what it is that you have to offer. So double it up. Have those conversations with mentors, with people that you respect, people that are in the field that you want to be in. Ask the questions, ask the right questions. Keep your mind open and reach out in ways that help you connect with the group that maybe you weren't with before. It can definitely help open avenues, and you can gain some more knowledge and more knowledge and like backgrounds in the roles that it is that maybe you're looking to step into. And it's really kind of a weird place to be, especially when you're trying to aspire for something bigger, but you're in that lull of it's not here yet. Like what happens in the in between? Preparation, baby. That's what happens in the in between. these conversations that you have, this investigating, this knowledge that you're gaining, it's all part of the bigger picture. So don't stop that, keep going on that. But you may have suddenly with this eclipse, you may have somebody pop up, a sudden mentor, a sudden friend, or something that pops into your life, a certain someone that pops in and gives you exactly the leg up that you needed. So that's awesome. Now, Pluto going, it is like long journey, but it's in your third house. But it talks all about that change in perspective, that like a whole new way of thinking and communicating. That's there's a transformation that you're going through. So you're learning to speak in a way that is, of course, more discerning, yes, but you're going to be having a way of speaking that is with more intention, and it's going to be one that is because of the way that your mind is changing. It's going to help you present things in a way that help others be able to question their own assumptions. Yeah, like kind of like it's a very good eclipse transit, depending on what it is that you're trying to convince people of. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's see. Oh yeah, and when it talks about the third house, you're going to have to be more. You're going to be becoming more discerning in the information that you're taking in and what you believe. Okay, and that applies to you if you aren't a Sag and you're like listening for somebody else. That somebody else in your life is probably going to be having some of these changes. So get ready for that. But basically, this is going to start relatively quick from the time of the eclipse, but by the time that this eclipse season is rolling through and you've gone through a good 6 months to a year, I think you're going to be quite astounded by the by how you see reality, and your beliefs about specific cultures. I'm getting and your beliefs about the world in general, and your role in it. So I hope that helps. But you know, just just go with the flow. Go with the flow. It's sometimes it's not just the journey; it's the destination, right? Is that too cliche? Love you, Sag. Capricorn rising. Let's talk about this eclipse for you. It's falling in your eighth full sign house. This is pretty serious house. It's our deepest house where our deepest emotional and psychological transformations happen, right? Governs our shared resources, finances, debts, taxes, inheritance, investments, intimacy, yes, psychological healing, endings, life, death, rebirth, all the things that are invisible processes that other people like that well that's pretty private typically if you're lucky enough, but it changes us, transforms us from the inside out, right? And so shared resources, you may find that this is time where you got to reorganize some stuff. You could be taking care of some debts, paying off some debts. Inheritance and settlements may be finalized. um, if you have, of course you do. So business partnerships can be restructured, intimate relationships transformed. Transformed, and when I say this, it's got to be through honesty, right? And those conversations, those hard conversations, admissions, and the vulnerability, the authenticity, these conversations need to be had and can no longer be avoided. The South Node transit there is talking about how avoidance needs to be let go of. Okay, Uh, so Um, it's pretty emotional for a Capricorn rising. You may notice that some subconscious, unconscious fears that you've carried for years are starting to change, and they're no longer controlling your decisions. That's a good thing. That's growth, baby, growth. Um, so then you got to talk about the sense of security, second house, eighth house, right? So, like, you may be finally ready to release some emotional burdens been that's quietly shaped your sense of security and your relationships, honestly. So you know that with this house, Capricorn, you can't avoid the responsibility of like trusting the process of transformation, of course, because you don't know where it's going yet. And I know you do not like to be all willy-nilly with things, but trust the process. It's going to unfold regardless of whether you're nonstop working hard the whole time or if you're actually paying attention to it. So it's going to be initially uncomfortable, of course, but it will open up more room and create more emotional freedom and healthier forms of intimacy in the long run for you moving forward. So Mercury and Jupiter in Leo are going to be asking you, let's see, well, kind of about all the things that I already said. Like you're going to be having important conversations. Mercury's communication, Jupiter makes everything big. So there's going to be big communication, big topics arising within this next 6 months of the year to where it's big stuff about shared finances. It could be like, okay, we need to do our wills, like it because it also eighth house is also a house of death. Oh, we need to make sure we have our wills written up. It could talk about powers of attorney. It could talk about investments, loans, insurances, taxes, business partnerships, intimate relationships, of course, but financial opportunities may be coming your way through other people, the Aquarius audience. But then you've also got the Leo in the house of other people's property. So even though that stuff may come through, it's going to require strategic planning and honest communication to like be able to effectively navigate business partnerships and make the proper significant decisions, right? Pluto going through your second house, Capricorn, is going to be continuing to transform your relationship with money. Who would have thunk it, right? Self worth, your personal resources, your personal values, and your the eclipse is basically becoming part of a much bigger transformation that is going to transform your relationship with all those things. Money. I just can't. I hardly can believe that, but it's probably it's not probably it's time. It's time. So you, by the end of this period, Capricorn, may feel that you've developed not only like a greater sense of financial stability, but also a healthier understanding of what genuine security actually means to you. Kind of a beautiful revelation on how that might be changing for you. Um, You'll be all right, Capricorn. You always are, right? So I wish you the best. Aquarius, grab a drink. So Aquarius rising, this total solar eclipse is going to land in your seventh house, whole sign house, right? Of committed relationships, marriage, contracts, business partnerships, clients, collaborations, open enemies, significant people that mirror your growth back at you, right? So since the North Node has um, has entered your sign and the South Node's going through Leo, where relationships are going to become the primary focus through which your evolution is going to happen over the next 18 months, Aquarius. And you're going to be having the South Node do some revealing on which partnerships have completed their purpose and which ones are continuing or capable of growing alongside the person that you have become, right? And the person that you are becoming. So, you're going to have some relationships deepen considerably while others just naturally end. And because they've run their course, right? Not all relationships are meant to move forward with you, and I know it's not comfortable. But I will say it's not limited to just romantic relationships, Aquarius. It's going to be in the realm of business partnerships. It can be in the realm of professional collaborations, legal agreements, close friendships. They can all undergo significant changes during this eclipse season. So, mm, we talk about unequal effort, outdated expectations, relationships that are continuing based off of those things. They're going to fall away because that's an old version of you that no longer even exists, right? So it's likely to bring all of those dynamics about relationships and what no longer serves you first and right in front of your face. So with endings, which are very possible during eclipse season in this relationship sect. Um, yeah, with endings comes new beginnings, right? And many Aquarius risings, you may actually meet somebody very significant to you during this eclipse period and within this next 6 to 18 months as the node is moving through, North Node is moving through. It could be, and it doesn't have to be a love relationship, but it could also be like a soulmate type partner that you meet up with, and they just help you fulfill your dreams, your wishes. They help you. They play a significant role in your next few chapters of your life, right? And vice versa. So keep in mind with Mercury and Jupiter moving through your house of partnership, um, it's going to greatly increase how important it is to communicate with other people, right? I know Aquarius, you're okay at communicating, but not so much when it comes to communicating your emotions, right? That's yucky stuff for air signs. So, with that, honest conversations you can do, negotiations, contracts, interviews, collaborations, all of those kind of introductions carry tremendous potential, and you've got to talk to make that kind of shit happen. So, network. Okay. And like if you're a business owner or creator, you may find that you naturally attract like influential, because Pluto, right? Influential clients or partners. And while those that are actually committed to like seeking committed relationships, you may find yourself being more visible to people who genuinely align with your values, which that's awesome too. Pluto continuing through your first house means that you're already experiencing one of the most profound transformations of your life, Aquarius. And rather than trying to preserve and keep every single relationship exactly as it was, and that I think that you're going to find that you're going to have to release. This eclipse is going to show you where you have to let go of that behavior and actually really be honest with yourself about which relationships you can continue to hold space for that support your future rather than just anchoring you back to your past. So I'm excited for you guys on this one too. I'm an Aquarius moon, so I wish you the best during this eclipse. We're going to move on to last but not least our beautiful Pisces risings. So or Pisces sun. So for Pisces, this is activating your sixth whole sign house of your daily work, your routine, your health, your service, your coworkers, your responsibilities, your habits, right? That support your overall quality of life. And it's pretty much a practical eclipse for you guys. And although it seems like it's kind of like boring. I'm like, yeah, boring every time that kind of stuff happens in the sixth house. But it's like a gradual thing. And so it's basically less dramatic, but it can move you places. So the South Node eclipse is going to often show you where your routines may be inefficient, outdated. You may be in an unhealthy work environment. You may be working or doing things in a way that is just no longer sustainable, whether it's a schedule or a work routine or whatever habits that are just draining your energy, or I'm going to say your wallet. Okay. So, but mainly like your energetic body, right? If things are unequal, you may find yourself that you may be leaving a job. It could be voluntarily or involuntarily, seeing as this is with eclipse. But the higher version of it would be to adopt the changes that are required to help enhance your efficiency and your quality of life. So if you've got a job that is just sucking the soul out of you and you have nothing left for anybody by the time that the day is done and you just crash out and you just wake up and do the same shit the next day and then you're just like, that moves easily into depression and an unfulfilled life. Okay. So with that, do your best to proactively adopt healthier routines as opposed to making, because it's your opposition is the 12th house, which is hospitals, rehabs, recovery centers, all those kind of things. What I'm saying is address those habits before life checks you and your health gets checked. Okay. Because those kind of getting brought down during an eclipse because of overextending yourself, man, they can be really hard to recover from physically and mentally. Let me just put it that way. So, mm, where are you sacrificing way more than you should? That's whether it's work dynamic or in relationships. Where is it what is it that you're sacrificing more than what you should have? So, the sixth house again talks about our daily choices that ultimately create our future, right? Like if you're acting a certain way and doing a certain thing and you're saying, oh, I have this dream, I'm going to do this and I want to do this, but you literally don't change a certain thing, a single thing you do in your daily, it doesn't work. It's contradictory and it's almost avoidant. So keep in mind that small adjustments do have to be made more consistently and more consistently often to actually produce any kind of greater long-term results. And that then like I just saw somebody deciding that they're gonna like it's the beginning of the year, I'm gonna get that gym membership and I'm gonna spend $200 and I'm gonna get this gym membership and I'm gonna go buy all these workout clothes and blah 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 blah. And I'm gonna go on day one and I'm gonna just be completely wiped out. And on day two, oh, I just don't feel like going. I'll go tomorrow. Like, and before you know it, your week's out, your membership's just draining your bank account. You haven't even used any of those cute new workout clothes you got. And you've kind of just, let it slide. And definitely got to have some more sustainable efforts. Okay. You could also have a new job or a new role that steps up, and it could be with this a south node, could be that it's something that you've done before, but you're coming at it now with a bunch more years of knowledge and life knowledge and whatever. And it could be an old possibility or an old career opportunity coming back to you. It could also be an old bad habit trying to creep back up that you gotta nix in the bud and just really face head on, rather than thinking, oh, I can have just that one drink or I can have just that one toke, or I can see that I can see that toxic person that I was so enamored with one more time and walk away like nothing happened. No, I know those are all very delulu ways of thinking, but I feel like it needs to be mentioned. Um, oh, and overwhelm. That's something I want to talk about. So, um, those small choices that we incrementally make and we do them on a consistent level to help pull the more the greater long-term benefits rather than just like a look at me, hey, look what I did because it made me look good kind of thing, right? It's if your schedule, like if you're finding like I that you are working and you're like, okay, I want to be recognized as the hardest worker or the best this, the the best librarian ever. That's not a good whatever. So whatever, you want to be the best at what you do, and so you're constantly like trying to put on a show, and trying to one up. And then I just saw a bunch of guys in a warehouse like loading, and trying to outdo each other, right? And it's basically wearing on your health, wearing on your energy. It's something that it's if you're finding yourself that your schedule has got you becoming fully overwhelmed or that your health is taking a hit and asking for greater attention from you, it's time for you to like look at how you're balancing, sorry, how you're balancing your workload versus your need to be seen or admired for the work that you do. That may sound like a pretty blunt way to put it, but I don't really know how else to say it. Those small changes happen within you, and when you know your worth internally, you don't have to seek it externally from others to the point to where you're wearing yourself so thin that you're making yourself sick. Um, Wrap this up with Mercury and Jupiter that are also traveling through the same house in your sixth house. So, it's all work, business organization, hiring. You may be asked to take on a position of leadership, and communication is really big. Traveling is going to be a period to where you may even have to do some long distance travels for work. And it's more so usually for business organization work. You may even have to take on a role where you're having to do some of the hiring or the HR kind of things. But it's communication with coworkers, how you're taking care of yourself, your nutrition level, all of that stuff is going to be totally amplified over this period. And Pluto is going to be transforming your 12th house, for the next 18 freaking years, right? So Pluto through your 12th house is going to bring you some deep psychological healing that's going to help you. It's going to encourage you to release some of those unconscious fears, the limiting beliefs that make you think that you're not enough or that you have to perform, and you have to slave your body away in order to, make somebody else happy or to get some kind of accolades, which it's never quite enough, is it? Like it's yeah, that's I'm not going to go into all the unconscious fears, but those emotional patterns that are operating beneath the surface, right? So this is a period of bridging the gap and that inner healing and that need to um, become healthier in practical ways, that and practicality in a way that helps build a life that supports the you that you're becoming, Pisces. And by improving those routines and the daily habits, and if you're dealing with addictions, letting those getting help for those, protecting your energy because we all know you're little sponges, right? And honoring your physical and mental well-being, you'll be able to create the stability, all the stability that you ever needed and deserved in life, Pisces. So I love you guys. Thank you. If you're still here with me, thank you so much for sticking around and listening. This was an incredibly long day for me. I'm out. Be sure to hit the like the subscribe video, share this with your friends, leave me a comment, tell me how this eclipse season is unfolding for you. And yeah, be sure to check out one of Miriam's relationship scans. Those are pretty damn cool too, especially this being eclipse season. So, anyways, I am out of here. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, happy eclipse.